Bro, what the fuck? Like that. This is what I mean, bro. These kids come and trade. Like they just look like they're gonna go sell the gold. All right, guys. I'll just give it to him. Yo, you guys think I'll get banned for trading this? Like, I'm not gonna lie. He came with a bow and a random. I just wanted to make a video regarding my recent ban on old school RuneScape for over 1 trillion GP. I want to discuss how terrible this anti-cheat team is at their job and the constant corruption within the JMod team as we've seen over the years. But before we get into it, I just want to know, where are you guys hiring these people that work at the anti-cheat team? Like, this is like they're brain dead. They're completely brain dead. But you guys will see what I mean by that. As you guys know now, on October 3rd, I was permanently banned for real world trade while holding over 1 trillion OSRS GP, the most ever legitimately obtained gold in history, by the way. Beginning with only 500 mil, the process took me 7 months of death matching and has been streamed since the very beginning. However, this is the second time my account has been banned for real world trading, as the first one was in March, which was completely overturned. Given Jagex's anti-cheat team track record of corruption, it came to no surprise this was another false and targeted ban. I found out that they banned 3 accounts at the same time, making this a chain ban, which is something Jagex only does for exceptional cases, and I have an exceptional bank. This includes Gray's account, who held the 1 trillion GP, as I used a viewer's account to play death matches on to make GP from. I held most of my money on Gray's. Like, it was a safe account. And yes, account sharing is allowed at your own risk. And the 2 remaining accounts that got banned in this were 2 viewers' accounts that I used to PvP with on stream, and they both got taken out as well. If you're wondering why I don't have my own account, my personal one was banned for rule breaking, which I mentioned on streams many times. I've admitted publicly on stream to real world trading back in the day before I started streaming on May of 2022. This was way back in the day. Everybody knows all RuneScape accounts are in a clean state. Like, you don't get banned for your previous history. That's a known thing. You know, like, if you already cheated in the past, it's completely, you're not gonna get banned on a new account because of it. So I was contacted shortly after my perm ban by ModAiza on Discord, who is Jagex's lead community manager for old school RuneScape, and was told this was thoroughly reviewed by our anti-cheating team to be correct and won't be overturned. That the evidence is irrefutable, and there isn't any opportunity for this to be overturned as a result. Generic default responses. For my first RWT ban, it was entirely resolved behind the scenes. I requested any evidence of RWT, and they showed it to me, which I immediately disproved, and the ban was promptly overturned. You can see this in my offense history, but for this ban, they're refusing to show me anything, while simultaneously saying the evidence is irrefutable. While I ended up finding my own evidence, as it is extremely blatant, I attempted to solve this all privately, but I'm forced to go public now because they're just giving me vague replies, and it's very obvious corruption. I'm going to provide all the relevant conversations, screenshots, VODs, and pictures proving this is a false ban. So these conversations with Jagex are just absolutely astonishing. I still can't believe the reasons that they gave me for this ban are real. And yes, these are real conversations. We'll go through the important parts now, and we'll go through the full thing after, as these are, and also some findings from us after that. Also, before we continue on, please stop believing everything you see. Rumors of this ban being revolved around bug abuse and certain posts on the black market OSRS sites are false, and they've been taken down after being proven fraudulent, taken care of privately, because it was an attempt at slander. There's also no bug in the game allowing for a guaranteed PID. That does not exist. ModAiza himself has confirmed this publicly. Please stop being brainwashed by these, some of the people who have tried to say that, okay? It's not a thing. PID is not guaranteed. There's no way of telling whose PID it is. There is no bug abuse. Do your research. It does not exist, okay? Anyways, so let's start with this. They claim it was someone else on Gray's account and used it to, and I quote, trade hundreds of millions of GP through it, which was then sold shortly after. Please take that in. Hundreds of millions. There is 1 trillion on that account. Not only that, but the other person sold the GP and I got banned for it. Basically saying the person who, whoever was on the other side of that winning the gold, because it was a giveaway, sold the GP. If a giveaway winner decides to sell a GP won from a streamer, why is that the streamer's fault? The price of gold is 16 cents a million right now. It is 16 cents a mil. It would make no sense to sell hundreds of millions, like, bro, what? 100 mil is worth $16 while holding over 1 trill, which is worth $160,000. Yes, you cannot sell 1 trill anyways, but that's not the point. By the way, they didn't just ban Gray's account. They went above and beyond in punishing her harder than anybody else by banning her indefinitely from the Jagex content creator Discord, where other creators have also broken rules in the past, including RWT, and have been chain banned, but they have not been kicked, which is very unfair to her. Everyone knows that moving this much GP at this point is impossible, and JMods will be constantly monitoring every single move. JMods can confirm every single GP is still there, untouched. You can I hope they approve that. They mention significant amounts of RWT, but only get banned after 7 months. When all the GP is still on the now banned account, the bank value is only continuously going up and not down, being heavily monitored and no bans until recent. Clearly, I wasn't selling any gold on the way to 1 trill, but hitting 1 trill on September 18th, they mentioned these instances are recent, implying that I began selling literal bits of it then after 1 trill. Make that make sense. You know what I mean? Like, clearly I was not getting banned all the way up there, meaning I didn't sell any gold. But now I'm selling at 1 trill. Come on, man. Now let's get through the conversations beginning to end. Again, shortly after my ban, I was reached out to by ModAiza. Reaching out is something that Jagex normally doesn't do beforehand. I've only known it to happen one other time, and it was to Autoblock, another content creator who was falsely banned by a corrupt anti-cheat employee, Mod Trident, someone who was fired earlier this year. Autoblock's permanent ban was reduced to a temporary one. And keep in mind, this is the same corrupt employee who banned me for RWT at the first time. The ban I was able to get overturned. As you can see, it starts off pretty standard. The entire conversation is professional. He states it's for a significant amounts of RWT and mentions that the case has been thoroughly reviewed to be correct and the ban won't be overturned. I try to make my case to him, asking if I can see evidence, something the anti-cheat team has provided in the past for others, and I'm pretty much told this is all that can be shared. The next part of the conversation was immediately interesting to me, since usually these bans are for things way in the past, and he said these were pretty recent instances of RWT. This got me thinking, everything I do on OSRS is pretty much on stream, and Twitch stores VODs for 2 months. And in the last 7 months alone, I've given well over 50 billion GP, all taking place on stream, to give away winners. Making sure that every winner was legitimate and going to the extent of making winners screen share to show it's them on the receiving end and not a gold buyer. I then inquire specifically about these recent instances and mention how it makes no sense to RWT such an insignificant amount of GP dollar-wise with such an intense bank value, as well as explain how careful I am with trading low-level accounts. And I've refused that many times. People know this. As you can also see, I also included something when he told Gray in her conversation, which was happening relatively at the same time as me. We're 2 hours apart in those screenshots. Screenshot is him saying to her that not only was it not her who did it, but it was only a few 100 million GP. Aiza's relaying information straight from the anti-cheat team. So what would make them say that? I'll tell you exactly what after we go through Gray's conversation, as we found a lot of things that are not good for Jagex, the anti-cheat team specifically, because of course we don't believe any of this nonsense reasonings. In the following screenshot, you can see the image just referenced of what Aiza sent Gray, as well as the rest of my message where I talk about how a ban this big should allow me to see some proof. Again, they provided evidence to people in the past. So, you know, for a 1 trill ban, I would like to see some evidence that I've never RWT'd or anything. He then tried clarifying that it was well into the billions and there was just a wording of choice, which it wasn't a wording of choice, and I'll get to that. He retorts about me saying I've never RWT'd, that I have been banned in the past, which again is something I admitted to, and saying I RWT'd was in the context of the banned accounts in question. As you can see in the final message between us is a massive one I sent, reiterating some points earlier that it took a very long time and I should at least be allowed to defend myself against the evidence. I also mentioned Gray's subathon she did last week, because of the hundreds of millions comment had us all confused, where giveaways took place. I then talk about how help would be fantastic and that I've always had zero intention of ever selling, how the bank value only went up over time. In the final part of this conversation, I'm reiterating the same things and mention RWTing with a bank like this is impossible, and I was purely just going for a never before done goal like this out of passion. So this part is where Aiza spoke exclusively to Gray. This is where Aiza states the most bizarre reasons for the RuneScape bans and the Discord banning of Gray. And blaming and punishing of Gray for what they acknowledge themselves as other people's actions. This time we start off with Gray immediately pleading with Aiza even before waiting for him to be there. I won't go over this entire message as this is Gray's childhood account and she's clearly heartbroken, and you can see from her account offense history that her last actions were from 2008 when she was 11 years old, aside from one mute 2 years ago where she called herself retarded and got muted. Gray mentioned streaming at Biker's house being banned from the creator Discord despite other creators who have been repeatedly banned and are still fine in there. ModAiza responds with the default company response, saying that it has been thoroughly reviewed to be correct and won't be overturned, saying it was for significant amounts of RWT and isn't just related to just streaming at Biker's house, aka myself. He never elaborates on this, and this quote is extremely vague. He then ends it by saying that because of this, she is indefinitely banned from the content creator Discord. Gray reiterates about other banned creators still in the server. She also mentions that her account was her livelihood and that she's turned down life-changing amounts of sponsors from RuneScape gambling sites, which is true. Simply to be on good terms with Jagex, by the way. Then we come to the evidence is irrefutable line from Jagex's ModAiza with no opportunity for unban. Gray quotes Aiza saying the evidence is very clear and asks for proof if it's so clear. I mean, we got proof last time that it was supposed to be a RWT ban, but now we're not. If it's irrefutable, there's no reason not to show us, unless it's actually irrefutable and they won't let us defend ourselves against the evidence like last time because they want us banned no matter what the truth is. Gray continues talking about how it's her childhood account, that she would never risk rule breaking to get it banned, how RuneScape is actually her full-time job, and that GP does not have any value to her. It was my gold. She didn't even use it. Aiza says he'll ask if he's allowed to share information, reiterating that it still won't be overturned, which is just bizarre. This could have all been avoided if they just showed any sort of legitimate proof. Gray goes on to say that she's in the dark and doesn't understand what the problem is specifically, that she doesn't know what she's done wrong, that none of the gold has been sold or bought at any point, and even despite that, since it's technically not her GP, it's mine, people still give her GP to give away, which happened during her subathon. There's not much going on in these next few messages, just more of what has already been said, but then Aiza returns with a vague reason for the ban, no proof, once again, just to state a reason. He goes out of his way to explain that it was someone else on her account, but despite that, she's responsible for her account and what happens on it, even if someone else got access to her account. So he does all this and says the reason for the ban is for trading hundreds of millions of GP through it, which was then sold shortly afterwards. Implying that it wasn't even her who sold it. The person who it was traded to sold it a few $100 at 15 cents a mil when there's 1 trillion on account. Gray was stunned and took a while for a proper response because that makes no sense. She asked why that would cause her to be banned from the content creator Discord as well if they acknowledge it was somebody else, despite the fact that creators who got punished for explicitly breaking rules themselves got to stay. Gray says it makes absolutely no sense for such an insignificant amount of GP to be sold and then banned over when there's so much GP on the account, risking 1 trill for chump change, you know? Gray asks to be directed to someone from their anti-cheat team to actually fight this, but once again ignored. Aiza tries to backpedal by saying hundreds of millions is definitely more a choice of wording than an accurate statement of of how much was transferred to be sold, but we found out that's not actually the case. The conversation is almost done, so we'll get to that very soon. Alright, so like I said earlier, I was being refused any evidence. However, it becomes extremely obvious what RWT accusations I was banned for, because the day following my ban, I began receiving messages from friends that were given RWT warnings for buying gold. The first one being my friend Ponography. He's an IRL friend who lives quite literally 45 minutes away from me that I've known since 2019, and I've been with IRL over 30 times. Because he only plays RuneScape, we could both only assume this was a trade we did right the night before DMM, and over the course of the first week into it, as this was the only big trade he's made recently. And this was all during DMM. So I helped 4 of my friends with swapping GP because I had 800 bill at the time, and these particular friends are very passionate about Deadman mode, and they take it very seriously. So having 800 bill, I'm gonna help my friends out. Like, why not? And these 4 were Ditterbitter, who I gave 5 bill to, or Eliab 14, who I gave 1 bill to, and Mazar, who I gave 5 bill to, and then also Pone, who goes by the artist Krillin, who I gave roughly, I think, 4 or 5 bill to. Ditterbitter, Mazar, and Eliab 14 are all content creators. They all make YouTube videos. They all stream on Twitch. And Pone, artist Krillin, once again, is a very serious DMM player who you can see from the high scores goes for a max cape every single DMM. He hadn't really played RuneScape since DMM, so it's only safe to assume this RWT warning was related to me, because the warning came the day after my ban. However, this is not RWT. Pone is a mutual real-life friend of myself and many content creators who we've all known for 4 to 5 years. This is a false RWT buy warning he was issued for trading me from what I later found out. So on October 1st, and yes, the VOD is still up. You guys can go check that out, which I highly recommend all of you do. During the last hour of my stream, I was deathmatching, and I began trolling the ranks in the clan chat that I use, telling them that the chat was asking for giveaways and basically just asking them for money to give away to the chat. It was just, we're just messing around. Between trading about 4 or 5 ranks, I was given nearly 1 build to give away to the chat. There was a Void Waker, Prim Boots, a Torture, and roughly 800 mil gold traded to me to give to viewers who won the giveaway. Now, the weird coincidence was that each and every single person who won over 100 mil GP, which was a total of 5 winners, only 4 of which I was able to get in contact with, all received either a temporary ban or a RWT warning for buying gold. They either got a 3-day ban for buying gold or a warning for it, which makes absolutely 0 sense. And also is the same thing as Gray, who was given GP to give away to viewers during her recent subathon. I listed all the winners below and the timestamps in the VOD if you guys want to go check that out. RSN Huck won 100 mil, timestamp 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 3 seconds. RSN Momo won 125 mil, timestamp 2 hours, 35 minutes, 45 seconds. RSN Tienda won 100 mil, timestamp 2 hours, 19 minutes, 38 seconds. RSN Super Baked Z won 500 mil, timestamp 2 hours, 55 minutes, 55 seconds. And right before he won, a level 71 who looked very sus. And like I said before, I am very careful with all giveaway winners. I refused to give the level 70 the 500 mil because his account looked very sus, and I didn't want to risk him selling the gold. And like I said, with this anti-cheat team, I don't even know what's going on with them. Who works there? Didn't want to risk it. So the next winner was Super Big Z, who again, all 4 of these winners all got RWT warnings for buying. Now this is very important. These players did absolutely nothing wrong. I asked ModAiza to forward this evidence to the anti-cheat team, which he came back hours later, ignoring all of this and continuing with yet another vague reply, another basically automated reply. If the information I sent to him of all these players winning giveaways legitimately fair and square was actually forwarded, they can recognize in the VOD these players are innocent and they did not buy gold. Therefore, they should be getting their buy warnings and temporary bans for RWT removed. However, there you go. That's just like an example of the anti-cheats team, their lack of understanding and ego of not wanting to acknowledge that they're clearly wrong. There is complete proof. These winners are not buying 100 mil off me. Also, this gold didn't even come from me. These gold, you can see in the VOD, this gold was traded from other ranks in the clan chat, given to people in the stream. None of it even stemmed from me. Anyways, it now made sense to me when ModAiza first mentioned selling hundreds of millions, because these players all accepted a giveaway winning from me. Keep in mind, they all came from somebody else initially, not even from my own bank, and accused of buying gold. Absolutely insane. It also made sense from the accusations made on Gregory's account as well. Gregory receives a lot of items for giveaway purposes. Clearly, the anti-cheat team is very flawed and very bad at their job and takes this as RWT. These are blatant conclusions that are made as every single player who received warnings correlated back to me. The anti-cheat team has given clear evidence of RWT bans in the past, informing a time span and amount sold / bought of the account in question. I've been requesting evidence as this is the biggest ban in OSRS history of legitimate gold obtained, and I've only been receiving vague reasons followed by it won't be overturned. I hope to see any more evidence if this goes just beyond this, as I will happily prove anything wrong. I will happily do it. Anything can be proven. As I mentioned before, ModAiza states these instances were recent. I obtained 1 trillion on September 18th. If I clearly did not RWT and had no intention of doing so from pretty much 7 months ago, and to get to 1 trill, why would I begin now? All high value wealth accounts are heavily monitored. Everybody knows you can't sell that much gold regardless. I could have sold at any point on the way up. My goal was to do something never done before and set a record. My VODs and YouTube videos are up, and you can still follow as they only gain value in bank size per stream or if they lose. There's very few instances where I won or lost gold off stream. Very few. It's a shame this false ban is put in place, and with the anti-cheats team of corruption, this looks very suspicious. There was no RWT ever, and the anti-cheat team can still confirm there is still well over 1 trillion gold on that account. 100%. So a lot of us already know that the anti-cheat team on RuneScape is a complete joke. However, I know some of you who might still have faith in the anti-cheat team might be thinking, surely they undid the bans on the giveaway winners after being forwarded concrete proof by Aiza. No, that is not the case. They logged back in with the GP removed off of the account, which is completely unfair. They won the giveaways fair and square. However, the anti-cheat team is so dumb, they think I sold the gold, hundreds of mils, to these giveaway winners. Hopefully these guys revert what needs to be reverted and own up to their mistakes. And that's all I can say on the topic.